Welcome to the Zirous Partner Spotlight Series. I'm Brandon Schulte, Vice President of Strategic Alliances at Zirous. In each episode, I sit down with industry leaders and technology partners to explore how we're solving real business challenges together, leveraging innovation, data, and strategy to drive tangible outcomes. Whether you're a client, a collaborator, or simply curious about what's next in the world of digital transformation, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. I'm Brandon Schulte with Zirous, and I'm joined today by Marty Milbert, who is the Global Channel Strategy Director for CyberArk, to talk a little bit about the recent acquisition of Venafi, as well as some of their other products. Thank you, Marty, for joining us on the Zirous Partner Spotlight today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always great to talk with experts like yourself. To start off, for our viewers that maybe aren't familiar with CyberArk or Venafi, where you were prior to that, as well as yourself, can you just give us a quick background on you, your career, and then how you've come to assume the role with CyberArk?
Yeah, so early in my career, I did a lot of security operations for multiple other, organizations, companies, right? I wasn't on the outside looking in. I was more of the company purchasing solutions. I ended up at the Federal Reserve in Kansas City, where I helped with the red team, and we did a bunch of ethical hacking and different things like that, where we kind of automated ourselves out of jobs, right? So I was looking for something else, and I was thinking about encryption. So I kind of moved into the software world, where I went outside of the internal. Ended up at a place where we did data at rest encryption. Then I moved to Venafi, where it was more or less encryption in motion, right? Certificates, all the different things that we were doing there. And from there, CyberArk acquired us, and for the machine side of the house, where it really was relevant to the world now, because there's explorations, there's different risks, there's post quantum coming, all the things that were happening. It's a good acquisition, and I'm excited to be in the area that I'm in, because I get to work with the partners that are out there working with all of our customers, right? Enabling the partners, helping them through their deal related activities. It's been a good change. So.
Well, great. That's a super interesting background. And, going back to the acquisition with CyberArk, I know it was announced maybe about a year ago now and went through maybe 5-6 months, if my memory serves. Can you kind of talk about the value proposition that Venafi and its products brought to CyberArk, and where CyberArk hopes to kind of take this product to help customers across their wider suite?
Yeah, if you look at what CyberArk was really good at in the past, and still are a leader in it, is the human side, right? And they dibbled and dabbled into the machine with the secrets, with Conjure and their secrets hub. But what they didn't truly have was the different types of secrets that we take care of. When you think of it down the road, there's more machine identities now. There's mutual TLS. There's different things that are happening, and how you need to automate all of the different certificates, or SSH keys, or SSH certificates, or code signing certificates. These are the things that we really evolved in, and they were focused more, when it comes to machine identity security. They were focused more on the secrets engine, right? Like, they were focused on Conjure. So now taking that into, why are we better together? Every time I get a certificate, I need to get a secret first, right? So you can see kind of the synergies that are coming together, where we can automate all of that process and give a customer the full solution, right, with secrets and all the management of the machine identities out there. So it's a really good marriage. There are going to be some other things when you think of SSH and the stuff that CyberArk already had from SIA or SCA, but you think of Venafi's SSH manager. You bring the two together, you've got humans separated from machines, the applications, the automated processes that are running. So there's a lot of synergies within how we manage and what we were doing, but now we can bring a full suite to a customer. And they never really had it. There's all these different vendors out there that do a part of these things, but not the full suite like we do now. And come 2026, it'll be a lot better. So.
Well, we can speak to that from personal experience. So it's kind of interesting. So Ryan Babbitt, our director of security, and David Klein, who runs our governance group, they about a year and a half ago kind of approached me and said, "Hey, we're really interested in moving into the machine identity space. We also were interested in some of the things that CyberArk had to offer. And, it was funny. We actually started talking with Venafi a little bit before the acquisition, and it just was, a perfect synergy between the two platforms. So, we're really excited to do that. And, having been in the identity space for 20 plus years, helping clients on that side, being able to, move over to the things that CyberArk and Venafi and machine identity are doing together are super important. When you look at the landscape, though, of kind of the industry and where it's going, how does the CyberArk product, or in particular the machine identity product, how does it compare to some of the other competitors out in the market, and kind of what's the value proposition? I know you kind of mentioned better together, but why as a client should they choose to work with CyberArk and other products like machine identity?
I really think with the amount of IP and things that we've done for the 20 plus years that we've been, a machine identity company, the integrations are there. The automation is the number one thing that people are going to need when it comes to 2029, right? And I say that date because I'm sure there's another question coming, right? But you look at what, legacy CyberArk certificate manager was, Venafi did, there was a lot of integrations, 1,000+ integrations for all the different networks, network gear to infrastructure to Kubernetes. We built Certificate Manager, the thing that orchestrates all certificate management within clusters. So we also built the solution that integrates with Spiffy Inspire, right? Like the different protocols out there. So there's a lot of stuff that we've done in the 20 plus years to make what's going to be needed the most important thing. And, actually starting next year with the, doubling the workload on our teams when it comes to certificates, we want our customers to automate. We're not just a certificate lifecycle management solution. Our focus is automation, right? We need them to automate so they can get away from the risks that are about to happen, right? So,
yeah. And you definitely mentioned, that 2029 date. And I know a lot of the big providers are kind of inching towards that date with the shortening of the SSL and TLS certificates. Can you kind of give maybe some of our folks that maybe aren't as familiar with what's coming, what's happening on that date, and then how can machine identity through CyberArk help position customers to be ready for that, to reduce the burden on those IT teams?
yeah. So what's coming, and if people aren't aware of it, is there's this cool forum called the CAB forum, right? It's the CAs, the public CAs, and the browsers that are out there. They work together to create policy and what needs to be done when external or public certificates are created, and what will the browsers do to actually utilize them, or the restrictions the browsers put on to actually utilize these certificates. Well, as of about a month, 2 months, maybe a little longer than that, we started hearing a lot of Google 90-day, Apple 45-day. Well, the forum actually created a policy. And starting in 2026, these certificates are going to have to be replaced or renewed every 200 days. Moving down the pipe to 2029, it goes from 200 to 100 days to 47 days. The amount of work that's going to put on our IT teams is depending upon the size of the organization, it's going to put a lot of extra work. I mean, you're going from renewing once a year to twice a year to 4 times a year to potentially 12 times, depending upon the different types of policy that they have internal versus externally. So we see this. I mean, 47 days, a lot of our customers are going to have to start renewing at 25 days to make sure stuff is staged and ready for that next time. So there's going to be a lot of changes, and it's going to cause a lot of work because some of these certificates aren't just installed on one device. They can be on 350 devices that they got to manually go install this new certificate. So these are the things that and why we're looking at the ability to automate is the most important. Once we have it set, this stuff will start happening, working through ServiceNow, working through their change management process. It'll start rotating and doing it in an automated fashion. And that's what these organizations truly need, because they're not going to be able to do it with people, right? There's always going to be something that's forgotten. We see that now today with outages that happen anyway. So we've got to fix it. We've got to automate it. And we've got to focus on the applications. Another thing that, the cab is doing is, if you think of why they're shrinking that date, it's because of post quantum too, right? That they know that these things are coming, and it's how can we stop that risk? Shrinking the validity period of certificates is one of the ways that we can fix that, because it's going to be less risky at that point in time. So that is why they're pushing it. And I think it's important for all of us to know we've got to start thinking about how we're going to do it and how we're going to capitalize and win, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, great. And, definitely makes a ton of sense. And to kind of quantify it for some customers, and I know no two organizations are the same, but, talk to me about a company that's maybe, 500 employees, 1,000 employees, 5,000 employees. What type of burden does this new process put on an IT team if they're doing this, monthly or, every other month, depending on how the date falls? Like, can you quantify that on, kind of what that would be if they kept doing it manually versus what a product like CyberArk can do to help, eliminate those pain points?
If they keep doing it manually, and you think about one certificate by the year 2029 is going to be regenerated 12 times in a year. Let's just say roughly 12, could be more depending upon what their change management process is. But if we keep it at 12, meaning they're doing this monthly, and that's one certificate, and we've got to figure out how big that application is and how many certificates are that certificate is installed in many locations. It takes a person right now, and this is probably underestimating the amount of time, because I'm giving you just if I've got one person working on one certificate, it's at least going to take them 3 hours to get the CSR done, to get change management process in the root, to do all the things that it takes to get that certificate installed. But then they have to wait till the change window to actually do, and then they have to do the validation that everything's fixed. So you can say that 3 hours is probably too short of a time, but now you multiply it, one certificate 12 times, right? So that's how many times they're doing that. It could be upwards of 6 hours a week, maybe more. But if it's installed in many locations, times it by 12, right? Because if you've got that certificate on 12 different servers, they've got to do it 12 different times. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. We actually have a value ROI calculator on this specifically, where customers can actually use that calculator, or our partners can use it with the customers to say, hey, if we take this much time, it shows them the output down the road of what it's really going to cost them when it comes to their return on their investment. So yeah, there's a lot of work involved, and as we all know, a lot of people don't know how to request certificates at times too. So there's a whole relearning process, just the very easy stuff, right? So it's going to be a lot. I wish I could actually just show you the ROI calculator, because it walks you through it, right? So depending upon 1,000 certificates, 300 certificates, where you sit, that's where we really need to get. And it's hard to quantify just one, but 12 times, we know that people have way more than one, right? So yeah.
And what I'll try to do is I'll actually try to put that in the ROI calculator in the show notes, because I believe it's an external web page that we can have. So for those of you watching this and you want to use that, please grab that in the show notes. And then, I'm certain Zirous, we'd certainly be happy to help you. And I'm sure CyberArk would be as well if you had questions to go through that process. So, well, just a couple more questions, then we'll get you out of here, Marty. So for those customers that realize, and you made a very compelling case, like this is going to be a problem, this is something that's going to be onerous on those teams, what should they start doing today to kind of prepare as we start going down this path between, July of 2025 and, when it goes live in 2029? So roughly what, three years at this point, 3.5 years. So what should they be starting to think about today and, over the next year or two as they begin embarking on this process?
I think the number one thing that they need to look at first is their security policy is going to change, right? And we need to align with what the security policy is, and they need to align a tool with that security policy so that we can actually accurately fit in the right solution to take care of their problem, right? To automate their problem, I should say. Second is, I want people to know this, because I think it's very important, is as you create that security policy, most every security organization creates one policy for all certificates. So yes, we're talking about public certificates right now, right? But what does the browser do on an internal certificate that is expired too? It doesn't change, right? So there's going to be problems from internal to external. We need to really start thinking about what process are we going to put in from an external facing site to an internal facing site, because we're still going to get them annoying pop-ups if a certificate is expired because of the validity period. Even though it's good, the browser is going to say it's bad, right? So we need to start looking at some of these things. And when you're creating that policy to conform with the CAB forum changes, it's okay to bring some of us in. I want you to reach out for help. I want you to reach out to our partners for help, because I think that they all know it. And I think it's very important that you have other eyes on what you're creating that can make the automation work as it should, right? So from change management to all the different things. Outside of the CAB changes, the future of post-quantum, you need to think of a solution that will support the post-quantum libraries that are approved as well, because all of this really resides around crypto agility, right? And you need to have a solution that applies and allows for you to be crypto agile. And that's where you need to start thinking, and that can automate all of these things as you're going. So there's a change, but there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe that we need to bring all under one umbrella and automate it. So
Well, great information, Marty. I really appreciate the time this afternoon. If people want to connect with you personally or reach out for more information on CyberArk and machine identity, where should they go to find out more information?
yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. In addition, they can send me an email at marty.milbert@cyberark.com. I will definitely help them with anything, or reach out to Zirous. They will get me in. If we need to have a meeting, if we need to get involved, the team here does a really good job as well to getting all the right people in. So,
All right. Well, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it, Marty, and looking forward to continuing this conversation as we embark on this major change over the next few years.
likewise. Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Zirous Partner Spotlight series. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn. For partnership or project inquiries, please reach out. We're always exploring new ways to create impact together. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries.